Hello friends! Welcome to the channel where firearms aren't just pieces of metal, but destinies, histories, and legends. Before we dive into the depths of time, do me a favor if you love stories with character, click subscribe and the notification bell. That's the best thanks for me and a guarantee you won't miss a single detail. And I'll be waiting for you in the comments at the end of the video. Write which pistol you think is the most elegant weapon in history. Let's go! Today a story not just about a pistol. A story about an icon, a legend that fit in a coat pocket but left a giant mark on the 20th century. It was held by those who built empires of the criminal underworld and by those who destroyed those empires. It was hidden in the folds of a spy's dress and worn with pride on the belt of generals who redrew the world map. This is the Colt Model 1903 Pocket Hammerless. A pistol without a hammer, but with a huge, thunderous history. And you know what? This is my second most favorite pistol in the world. In first place, the reliable, simple, familiar Makarov pistol, my first love in the world of firearms. But the Colt 1903. It's like comparing a reliable childhood friend to a dazzling, mysterious, and faithful woman of the Art Deco era. It's different. It's style. It's an era. To understand why this piece of iron became so important, we need to transport ourselves to the turn of the century. The world is on the verge of great change. The era of steam engines and single-shot revolvers is ending. The air smells of gasoline, gunpowder, and money. And in this new world, two giants, the American Colt Company and the Belgian Fabrique Nationale FN, are engaged in a subtle, complex game to be the first in the world of automatic pistols. And between them a genius. A man whose thoughts materialized in metal and changed everything. John Moses Browning. On July 24, 1896, he entered into a fateful agreement with Colt. Colt received exclusive rights to his designs in the USA, Great Britain, and Ireland. And a year later, on July 7, 1897, he signed a similar deal with the Belgians at FN. The world was divided. An unspoken rule emerged: Colt would make powerful military pistols with a short recoil system and a locked breech, while FN would make more compact models for police and civilians, operating on a blowback principle. And so, in 1900, Europe explodes with success. FN releases the Browning Model 1900 pistol in .32 ACP. It's a sensation. Sleek, flat, reliable. 100,000 units in the first 3 years. In total, they would make over 724,000. It's staggering. And what about Colt? That same year, 1900, they introduced their first automatic large, powerful, in .38 caliber. And a flop. The military looks at it skeptically, civilians buy it slowly. Only 5,000 units. The difference is like between flying in an airship and riding in a carriage. The Americans are losing to the Europeans in the race for the pocket pistol. And then Browning, this titan of engineering, makes an unexpected move. He's already preparing a new model for FN under the more powerful 9mm Browning long cartridge. The Belgians dream of entering the military market. But people from Colt come to John. They beg, they demand, "John, give us a successful pistol like those Belgians have. Even if it's blowback. We need a hit." And Browning, a pragmatist, doesn't refuse. On April 3, 1902, he files a patent application in the USA. The conditions are strict: produce at least 100 pistols a day, the price must compete with revolvers, and the inventor himself gets 40 cents for each unit sold. The patent wouldn't be issued until December 22, 1903, but production would begin in June. Thus, the Colt automatic pistol, pocket model, is born. And to avoid confusion with other pocket models, it's quickly dubbed Hammerless. Inside the factory, it's given the laconic name Model M, and that M would become a symbol for decades to come. Now, let's pause. Let's think. Why did it become a legend? By modern standards, it's just a piece of steel. Quite heavy for .32 or .380 cartridges. Length almost 18 centimeters. Not that pocket-sized. But in the early 20th century, it was a breakthrough. An absolute breakthrough. Imagine the world of 1903. The primary self-defense weapon, a revolver. With an exposed hammer that constantly snags on clothing. With sharp corners. With the need to manually cock the hammer for an accurate shot or painfully pull the trigger for double-action fire. And then he appears. Smooth as a river stone. Streamlined. without a single protruding part. You draw it from your pocket or from under your belt, and it doesn't snag on anything. It was incredibly convenient. It was civilized. The design brilliant in its simplicity. Blowback operation. An internal striker, yes, it's not completely hammerless, there is a hammer inside, but it's hidden, hence the marketing trick. A grip safety on the back strap. The pistol could be carried truly safely with a round in the chamber. A manual safety that also served as a slide stop. A heel magazine release, classic, time-tested. Sights are simple but effective. And to finish, options, austere bluing or shiny, bourgeois nickel plating. Grips made of hard black rubber with the proud image of the rearing colt, the symbol of Colt. Later, elegant checkered walnut grips appeared. It evolved. Collectors distinguish 5 types. Type 1, the earliest, with a 4-inch just over 10 centimeters barrel and a separate barrel bushing. In 1908, the barrel was shortened to 3.5 inches, about 89 millimeters. This is Type 2. It was in 1908 that a major event happened. The version for the new, more powerful .380 ACP cartridge, which Browning himself developed specifically for this pistol, was born. Thus, the model 1908 was born, although the company didn't officially use that name. But the people coined it and remembered it. Interesting fact, the .32 version remained more popular. Almost twice as many were made. Why? The .32 magazine held 8 rounds, while the .380 held only 7. Perhaps, in an era where reloading under stress felt like an eternity, that extra round meant a lot. But the main thing is not the technical specifications. The main thing is the people, those in whose hands it ended up. And here, the history of the Colt 1903 splits into 2 mirror universes, the world of shadows and the world of light. The universe of shadows, the weapon of gentlemen of fortune. The 20s and 30s in America. The Great Depression. Prohibition. The rise of organized crime. And gangsters, new folk heroes, bandits in expensive suits and fancy cars. They needed a weapon that matched their style. Not crude Tommy guns for shootouts, that was for the foot soldiers, but personal, concealed, elegant weapons for delicate matters or as a last resort in negotiations. And the Colt pocket hammerless fit perfectly into the fold of a tailor-made overcoat or an inner jacket pocket. It was a status item, a sign of taste and affluence. The most famous owner, Al Capone, the king of the Chicago underworld, a man who loved luxury, power, and symbols. His Colt 1903, nickel-plated, likely engraved, was not just a tool, it was an ornament, part of his image. The weapon of a boss who no longer personally whacks competitors but is always prepared for surprises. Another legendary figure, John Dillinger, public enemy number 1. It's said he also valued the Colt 1903 for its slim profile and reliability. Imagine those moments, a bank robbery, panic, a chase. And in his pocket, cold, smooth steel, the last trump card in a game with death. The pistol became so popular in the criminal world that it was dubbed the Gangsters pistol. But the irony is that it was also purchased by police departments. The Woonsocket Police, the New York City Police. It was on both sides of the law. That was its democracy. It served not ideology, but the person, whoever could afford it. The universe of light, a symbol of power and a tool of the invisible front. Now let's move to the battlefields of 2 world wars. It would seem, what place does an elegant pocket pistol have in the trenches dominated by rifles and machine guns? Oh, the most direct place. As early as World War I, the British, suffering from weapon shortages, purchased thousands of these pistols. In 1915, the Belgian army ordered 24,002 units. In 1917, the US Navy bought 200. But the real triumph came during World War II. Approximately 20,000 Colt 1903s in .32 and .380 calibers were issued to the Office of Strategic Services, OSS, the legendary predecessor of the CIA. What made the pistol good for a spy or saboteur? Relatively quiet, compact, reliable. It could be hidden anywhere. Its frame was stamped U.S. property and coated with a matte phosphate finish to prevent glare. It worked behind enemy lines, in cafes of occupied Paris, in the jungles of Burma. It was a weapon of the silent war. But it had another, ceremonial role. In 1944, the U.S. Army Command decided generals didn't need a crude, heavy Colt 1911 and .45 caliber, but something more elegant, fitting their rank. Thus, the Colt 1908 pocket hammerless in .380 caliber became the official pistol for U.S. Army generals. A special kit was developed for it, a brown leather belt with a gold-plated medallion buckle, an eagle and laurel branches, a simple holster, and a double magazine pouch. The two most famous examples belong to the men who won the war in the West, Supreme Allied Commander Dwight David Eisenhower and his most charismatic and aggressive subordinate, General George Smith Patton Jr. Imagine Patton, a staunch admirer of the powerful .45 long Colt revolver with ivory grips, a man who wore two pistols on his belt, and he also had this small, elegant Colt. For him, a connoisseur and appreciator of firearms, this wasn't just a symbol. It was an exquisite tool, a work of art. The pistol remained in this role until 1972, seeing service through Korea and Vietnam, until it was replaced by a more modern model. The story seemed to have ended in 1945, with the cessation of production. But legends don't die. Today, the company U.S. Armament Corp., having obtained a license from Colt, revived this icon. They produce an exact replica of the general officer's pistol. The same steel, the same lines, the same feel in the hand. Serial numbers with the GOP prefix. Only 3,500 will be made, 1,500 with a phosphate finish, 1,500 blued, and 500 units marked with the serial numbers of the pistols of real generals with anti-counterfeit protection, of course. Price $1,395. This isn't just a weapon. It's living history you can hold in your hands. So, what is the magic of this pistol? It was a bridge between eras. From flintlocks to polymer pistols. It combined what seemed incompatible, the elegance of a salon weapon and the rugged reliability of a combat tool. It was equally at home in a velvet box, on a satin pillow, and in the sweaty hand of a scout behind enemy lines. It served both evil and good, depending on whose hands it was in. It is the quintessence of the style of the first half of the 20th century. The century of progress, speed, grand ambitions, and terrible tragedies. The century when the world became smaller and weapons more compact. The Colt 1903 hammerless is not just a pistol. It's a philosophy. It's the belief that strength can be elegant and efficiency can be beautiful. And as long as people admire elegant solutions and stories with character, its memory will live on. Well, friends, immersed in the era, can you smell the gunpowder, leather, and old polish? If this story captivated you as much as it did me, let me know. Write in the comments which pistol, in your opinion, has similar charisma. Maybe it's the Walther PPK, the pistol of another legendary spy, or something else. I'm waiting for your opinions, argue, discuss. And of course, if you're not with us yet, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Ahead are many more stories where steel comes to life and begins to speak. This has been your Name Ed channel name. Until next time in the world of legendary firearms.